Hi, this is Dee, and you're listening to my podcast, Let Me Clear My Throat. Today I'm going to do kind of what I've been doing my last few episodes, and I'm just going to try, I'm going to learn how to talk first. I'm going to try to free mic it instead of having a script or a bunch of things that I have looked up and researched. So um, I might get a little off the topic because sometimes my mind likes to wander and then I wonder where it is. And then I have to try to find it, if you will, and bring it back so then I know and remember what I was talking about. So, anyway, if you know me, that probably makes sense to you because it makes sense to me. But anyway, so last night I attempted to start a podcast and I got about 10 minutes into it. My mom needed me. So obviously I paused it and went to go help her out. And then I just kind of wasn't um, feeling it, I guess you could say. I was kind of in a mood, kind of in a funk. Um, it's just been really a lot in my feelings and my emotions lately. I don't know, so much with the holidays and stuff. Um, but it's, I don't know. It's just been a very emotional week in my head. And I don't want to sound like, I guess, I don't want to sound like I'm a mental case. Um, I probably am. Um, but so okay, I get caught up in my feelings a lot, and I've got a lot going on in my mind. I've got a lot that um, I don't get the chance to talk to very many people anymore, and I'm not complaining. I take care of my mom full time, and she has been getting worse and worse, and sometimes people call or whatever, and she puts on this facade of, you know, or she used to, that she's not doing as bad as what she is. And she's been having some chest pains and some different stuff, and the holidays been coming on, and it's just a really hard time. Obviously, with my dad only being gone a year and a half, my stepdad, um, but she, I don't know how to explain it. She just pretty much, excuse me, sorry. Um, this weather has got my throat all dry. Um, it's really hard to explain. My mom's basically bedridden, um, and she's disabled and she's blind. And it's really hard enough when you're grieving in life in a normal setting, if you will, of a normal. I don't really like to use the word normal, but on an average situation of being a human being in the world. And there's people that are able to go out and do things or talk to their family and friends or find ways to have areas to put your feelings and your emotions and have kind of like an escape, if you will. And my mom doesn't have that. She lives in audiobooks, and I'm just really lost on um, what to do with, what to do for her on the sense of trying to help her find a place to put her emotions and her feelings and also deal with her health situation. Um, it's very difficult for me in the sense of I feel helpless. Even though I know how to take care of my mom, I feel helpless in the sense of not being able to help her where she needs help. And I pray a lot, probably more so than what I ever have in my life. And I mean, we grew up in the church and stuff. My mom used to be a Bible school teacher. Um, and my uncle, my stepdad's brother, he was a deacon in the church, and we would go, I use the phrase religiously, to church on Sundays and Wednesdays, and Bible school. We go to Bible school and stuff, and um, it's just really difficult when I have so many questions. Um, and a lot of times those questions raise more questions than they confuse me, but then it makes me think, well, maybe I shouldn't ask that question because I'm not trying to insult, um, I'm not trying to insult the Word of God. I'm not trying to insult the Bible. I'm not trying to insult a religion or anything of that nature. But I have a lot of questions, and I honestly don't know if there's anybody that really honestly has the true answers. They just have what they believe and what they've been brought on, or what their feelings or perspective, if you will, um, make them believe, and that's fine. That's totally fine. Because I'm the same way. But as a I say a young person, but I'm 50 years old. But um, uh, as a young person, um, in the eyes of God, I guess you could say, as a child of God, I have a lot of confusion on some of the things that are worded, and and also the way they're interpreted. And people, I feel, sometimes can interpret things a lot of ways, obviously, but also can manipulate. Um, and I'm saying that politely. I'm not trying to use that as a way to be mean on the way I'm putting it. Can, let's just say, rearrange um, the wording and the meaning behind it, um, compared to maybe somebody else can. And so that confuses me, because then it's like, okay, you know, obviously I would like to believe everybody wants to get into heaven. And I know not everybody believes in heaven and hell. Some people, don't believe in the Bible. They don't believe in God. And I respect that. But I'm just saying, my emotions, my feelings, and my thoughts and perspective on the world, um, I have a lot of questions. And I'm confused. And like, um, and I'm not trying to be, and this is where I get hung up, because I feel like if I ask the question, or if I talk about it, even in my mind, or say it out loud, I don't want it to come across to my own self that I'm disrespecting God, and that I'm disrespecting, um, you know, anything. I just, it's, they always say no question um, is a wrong question. The only question that's wrong is the one you don't ask. And that's not always true, I find. But some questions you don't want answered. And some questions just leave you even more confused. And it depends a lot on how answers are taken, and how they're also represented. Um, but me, for instance, and I'm sorry, I'm clearing my throat in the mic. I've got my headset on, and I have really bad allergies, and my mouth is really dry. And I was outside earlier, and I don't know, I just got a really dry throat, so I apologize. But so, like, for instance, and again, this is just me with questions in my head, and it's no insult to anybody. I'm not insulting religion. I'm not insulting God. Um, and honestly, I don't know why I should have to apologize for having questions. Um, because that's really kind of the only way I learn. But at the same time, too, who who is the right one to really teach me? Because everybody's got different religions and different beliefs, and some people even have different versions of the Bible. And it's like, okay, let's say the Bible, for instance. Okay, because this is kind of where I'm at, and I was kind of going through this last night. I was I was talking to God last night. I was praying to Him and stuff, and a lot of things, a lot of emotions I kind of put there. And obviously, because I've got a lot going on in my head, and was just getting really full. And but like the Bible, for instance, we got all these book chapters and verses and things written in red, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's in the Bible, it's in the Bible." And yeah, I'm sure some things are. I mean, a lot of things probably are in there. I don't know the Bible verbatim. I cannot quote you book, chapter, and verse. It's been a long time since I've had to quote any quotes and or whatever when I was in Bible school or anything. And I've touched the Bible. Excuse me. It's been a few months, probably quite a few months. I know it's been this year though. But that doesn't make me any less of a believer. It doesn't make me any less um, of a person that is respectful to the Word of God, or a person that just because I don't touch my Bible every day, just because I don't read it every day, and maybe I might forget to pray at each meal or between a snack or whatever, is there really a right time and a wrong time? And does it make me any less of a Christian or somebody who's going to get into heaven if I don't, or if I forget, or maybe if I just try to do good and be a good person and try not to be evil? Um, am I going to go to hell because I haven't read my Bible today? And who really wrote the Bible? I mean, I know that there's these scriptures and everything, I know they say, Moses wrote the Ten Commandments and stuff, but over the years, as the Bible has evolved and as more people have, um, some people, I guess, rearrange wording on beliefs and what they believe, um, who's to say that the Bible's really authentic? And who's to say that mankind didn't write the Bible and just kind of, um, I don't know. These are just some kind of my questions. I mean, because like my mom, for instance, she is this very old, well, had this very, very old Bible, and she said it was like the original Bible. It dated way, 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 way back, and she gave it to my younger sister. Now, why should that Bible be any different than the Bible today? Why should the wording be different? How is that possible? Because the Bible should be the Bible. And if another religion has a version of the Bible, how is that possible? Shouldn't there only be one book? And then those people that read that book interpret it how they want to based on whatever religion they want to believe in. Why are there multiple Bibles? So how am I supposed to know which Bible is the authentic one to get me to where I need to be as a human being, but also into heaven? Or is it going to condemn me if I'm reading the wrong version and I end up in hell? And like, and again, this is no offense to God at all. And I tell him this when I ask these questions, and I pray that he understands and he knows my heart because, like I said, these are just questions. So, like, for instance, if, okay, so Jesus died on the cross. Excuse me. So, Jesus died on the cross and for our sins. And because he died on the cross, we are forgiven for our sins. But does that make it okay for people to murder him? I mean, or is that God showing us that mankind can be at that level of evil? Or, I mean, I don't know. These are the questions I have. And so, like, let's say, like, Mary and Joseph having Jesus, and Mary, got pregnant or whatever, and it wasn't Joseph's baby. So, if God impregnated Mary, and mind you, this, like I said, I'm curious. So, if God impregnated Mary, and Mary had Jesus, and Joseph was supposed to be understanding that it wasn't his baby, and that Mary didn't step out on him, and this was a child of God, then does that mean that God forced a baby on Mary and impregnated her without her knowledge and her her consent? And does that just mean that Joseph was supposed to just believe that Mary didn't step out on him and got pregnated by another man? And like I said, I'm not trying to offend nobody, and I'm these are just questions I have. Or is that God's level of showing us that women can have babies not by their maternal or their husbands, um, from, let's say, artificial insemination, if you will, and it be okay? That it doesn't need to be the natural way. That it doesn't need to be man and woman having sex or whatever to conceive a child. That it's okay that if man goes and gets impregnated, outside of the actual conception of naturalness, if you will, to have a baby. And that you don't have to be a man in order to accept having a baby with somebody that you didn't impregnate. I mean, this is just kind of questions I have. And I don't know if anybody else has ever looked at it this way or even thought about it this way. Maybe it's just me. Um, but these are just some of the questions that I've been going back and through on my mind here lately. Um, Now, I believe in God. I was baptized when I was young, in the 80s, um, and I believe in God. Um, I believe in miracles. I believe in the Holy Ghost. I believe in Jesus. I believe in sin. I believe in heaven and hell. But I might believe it differently than what somebody else might. And I might believe it differently than what the Bible, and I'm putting quotations up, states. So, like, I was told once by someone that there's seven levels of heaven. And you don't know the time or the hour that God's going to come. Okay. So this is my question on that then. Seven levels of heaven. There's 7 days in the week. If you don't know when the world is going to end, is he talking about the world in general? Because Earth is our world as we classify it, because that's the slang that mankind has given it. But the world, really, how big is how big God takes it. But I believe also too is the world consists of one person. You're you are we are each individual worlds, God's children, the world. And maybe we don't know the time and the hour when he's going to come, which means we don't know the time and the hour when we're going to die. And our world comes to an end. And it depends on what day of the week it is, depends on what level of heaven, quotations, we land in. Because it depends on what day of the week our world ended because we passed away. These are just questions I have. And I'm confused. But to me, that makes sense. We don't know the time and the hour we're going to die. We don't know what day of the week we're going to die. We don't know how we're going to die. We all know that death, I mean, and I always say, two things are certain in the world: taxes and death. Excuse me. But I've added more things in my head of what other things are certain in life, but those are my perspectives, like other people's opinions. That's for certain. Everybody's got an opinion. And they should. Everybody should be entitled to their opinion, their views, how they feel, and they should be able to be entitled to have a voice, if you will, even if they can't physically talk. They should be able to have the right to voice that thought, that emotion, that opinion, and that perspective of them. Because what makes another person's point and a view and opinion any more important than the next person's? It's like they want to take prayer and stuff out of church, or not out of church, I'm sorry. Please don't take it out of church. Out of the school system. Out of basically out of mankind. Why? Based off of what I'm told, and I don't know a lot about politics. I really don't. I don't have TV. I don't follow the news. I don't follow politics. I don't. I don't. I don't know who's who. Um, but I was told that it was taken out of school because a woman, I'm guessing in Congress or something, um, didn't believe in it or something of that nature. Now, with respect, and I say this respectfully, and it's just a phrase, who the hell is she? If we're not supposed, if government is not supposed to intertwine religion, and government is supposed to be just government. It's supposed to be non. I say this laughingly inside. Okay, all of my personalities are laughing right now as I'm going to say this next sentence. All government people are supposed to be non-biased and neutral to mankind and those that they oversee. They're supposed to be able to hold their meetings in a level that they are speaking from a professional platform, if you will, and not an opinionated moral background of their own choosing. They don't get voted into office based off of their opinions. They get voted into office based off what they can deliver in a professional manner to mankind, is the way it's supposed to be. My thought. But they go and they take religion out of the school system. They take religion and prayer out of whatever they want to. And they manipulate it all. They want to take statues down. They want to remove, change the Declaration of Independence. Maybe they need to reread it. Maybe they need to see what our forefathers and our ancestors believed in that day and time. Because honestly, that was probably a much better time frame to live when a man's word was actually worth his word. And nowadays, a man's face is not even his own face because an app filter can change it. So what good is his word? If it can just be manipulated, people can digitally manipulate videos, they can manipulate pictures, they can add things and take things in, put different backgrounds on. I do crafting, and I have just learned how to remove a background and insert another background, a different background. And there's an app for that. I used to have this saying, of course, there's an app for that. There's got to be an app for everything. But you know what? An app isn't going to get you into heaven, but an app shouldn't condemn you to hell. And how do you know, you know, how do you know that they are not going in and manipulating the words of the Bible, the words of their belief, the words of their upbringing and their opinions? So and they're manipulating it, and I'm going to use the manipulating when it comes to government because I'm not going to say rearrange. I'm going to say manipulate. When the government manipulates that for their own contradictions to be acceptable, if you will, um, how is that being somebody who has our best interests at heart as an American citizen or any type of nationality for that instance? Because I'm not just talking generally of our own particular government here in the United States, because I'm sure there are other governments in other parts of the world that have their own thing, and sometimes we get stuck as and I'm going to say Americans because I'm an American and I live in the USA, and I'm proud to be an American. I'm not proud to be an American because of our government. I am proud to be American because of our men and women in our military that defend our country and made it possible for me to be even able to have an opinion of my own and have the freedom to be able to sit here on my podcast and talk to you people, even though I don't know who you are and I'm looking at my screen with little Ziggy marks on it. At least I have the freedom enough to be able to do that. So I am a proud American because of our men and women in the military. I am not a proud American because of our government. To me, there's a difference. I will take my hat off, salute a man in uniform any day. And I will shake the hand of a politician if I need to. But that's because I'm respectful. That's the way I was raised. I mind my elders. Well, my mom might disagree on that comment, but hey, I'm respectful to my elders. Um, I'm respectful to mankind. I'm respectful to everybody that I come in contact with, and I'm just now learning to be respectful to myself. That I will say. I'm learning how to respect myself. That is because mankind has done so much damage to me over my 50 years of my life that I have condemned myself in my own hell of my own being, my own mental state, that it has put me through hell. And the only way that I can get out of my personal hell is trying to be a good person, do the right things, and put my faith in a person that I've never met, that has no, excuse me, no physical appearance to mankind anywhere that I know of. But I pray to him, I have faith in him, and I believe in him. To someone that I can't see, someone I don't know, someone I've never met. And I believe in him more than I've believed in myself. And I've prayed to him more than I've complimented myself. And I've talked about him in good ways and respectful ways more than what I ever have myself. So when people say, well, I don't believe in God, I don't believe in somebody I can't see, and maybe, like I said, everybody has their own opinions and whatever, and I respect that. So if they don't believe in God, do they not believe in Santa Claus? And I'm going to say this. I believe in Santa Claus, but maybe not the same way everybody else might. And I'm going to say why. I believe in Santa Claus because I believe Santa Claus is each and every person that has a giving, kind heart for somebody, and they do something with the kindness of their heart without feeling selfish and without wanting something and demanding something in return. The name Santa Claus is just a name. The meaning behind the purpose of Santa Claus is different. And if the story goes back on, was it Christopher Kringle or whatever his name was? It's been a long time since I've watched the Christmas shows, okay? Because I personally don't know. I wasn't alive then. And maybe it's a story made up or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, for argument's sake, Christopher Kringle chose Christmas to be the day that he handed out gifts to people, to the children, whatever. Now, did he do that before or after Jesus was born? Because Jesus was born on Christmas. So, how does that come in effect with the same situation? So, was Christopher Kringle before Jesus or after Jesus? And if so, and he chose Christmas to do so, why did he choose Christmas? Why that day? And of all the days in the year, why that day? And also, too, what is Christmas supposed to mean? When Santa Claus comes, you can be good all year long and do all the right things. And you can be like, and I'm just going to say this, you could be a saint, okay? But if Santa Claus, say for some instance, Santa Claus doesn't come to see you on Christmas morning, does that mean you are bad? That you didn't deserve a gift? So then, therefore, Santa didn't deliver? It's okay to believe in a man on a sleigh with flying reindeer, but it doesn't believe in the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost that can save lives. And when somebody is dying or something bad is happening, and people are like, you know, pray, put it in God's hands. Say, please keep me in your prayers, or please say a prayer for so and so. Or, like when my mom was in the hospital, the first thing I wanted to do was go to the chapel. When my grandson was in the hospital on life support, I went to the chapel several times. I went to the chapel, and it was a Catholic hospital where my mom was at. One of them, but that doesn't matter. Does that mean there's different levels of God? One's a Catholic, one's a Jew, one's a Baptist, one's a Jehovah Witness, or I don't know. Okay, and I'm not trying to make anybody laugh at me or whatever, because I don't know the different levels of religion. Okay, as there's Muslim and there's Buddhist and all these, and maybe I'm getting confused on what people believe and what whatever, but everybody has their levels of God, and it says you shouldn't. How does it say it? Something about don't put any other God before me or something of that nature. Um, but how is that? How do I know that I'm putting it above another God when I don't know if that's the right God? What level of God is it? Does it go based again on somebody's opinion and a book that I respect? Um, but how does one know? And then you got Christmas morning coming, okay? Because Christmas is coming up, and this is a very hard time of year for me, for many, many reasons. And so we'll just go back to Christopher Kringle, okay? A- AKA Santa Claus. So we got this jolly old man with these little bitty elf and magic people, um, living in no man's land of frostbite season and freeze you as soon as you walk out. Probably freeze you solid if you don't have the right thermals on. And they're living up there in the North Pole, if you will. And they've got these flying reindeers, and they spent all year making these toys. And because of the time zones, of course, they can take the sleigh around and they can drop them into people's houses um, and stuff without nobody knowing. So, is it okay for Santa Claus to break in my house? Is it okay for him to come down my chimney, or come in my door? I mean, yes, maybe we're expecting you, Santa. So if we're expecting him, but we're not allowed to be up when he comes in. So we're supposed to go to sleep so somebody can come in my house. And I'm supposed to trust a man that I've never seen and that I see pictures of, maybe on a Coca-Cola display or at the store, at Walmart or wherever. And I'm supposed to believe this jolly old flying guy in a sleigh with these magical reindeer with these elfin shop workers or whatever making toys. Um, I'm supposed to trust him to come into my house, but I have to be asleep because I'm not allowed to see him and trust him to come to leave gifts in my house. Now, what's to say the Santa ain't gonna take something from my house and that's how he's getting his actual gifts to give to the next person? I'm just saying. But nonetheless, let's just say hypothetically that Santa Claus is a good man because I'm trying to be good because I want Santa to come see me, okay? But anyway, I shouldn't have to be good a couple days of the year right around Christmas time to get a present. But at the same time, too, I shouldn't have to believe that there's a magical man out there that is going to come and leave me something under my tree. Um, because it's okay to bring a tree in the house. Yeah, let's bring a tree in the house from outside. It's okay to bring a tree in the house and have a gift under there from somebody that lives in the North Pole, but wants to come to the United States and go the globe to drop presents off in the air, and you know, um, because he's a good guy, because he's giving to people and he doesn't want to be seen because he wants to be anonymous. He don't want to be seen because he doesn't want the praise and the glory of, oh, thank you Santa. But yet he sits back, if you will, checks his naughty and nice list. Who is he to tell me if I've been bad or good when he hasn't been men in my life all year round? And how is Santa Claus going to be the one to dictate whether I've been bad or good when, in all honesty, that should be God's place? So who is Santa Claus to judge me? Now, that makes sense to me, but it confuses me. But then let's, for argument's sake, say that Santa Claus is a very, very nice giving man. Okay? Um, Maybe I should put a disclaimer on this before I started for any parents with your children. I'm sorry. Um, because that should be something you discuss with your children. Um, but When somebody says, "Oh, I don't believe in Santa. Santa's not real." Yes, he is. You are Santa. You're Santa. If you give something out of the kindness of your heart to somebody, even if it's only one time of the year, and you give it to somebody out of the kindness of your heart, and you're not expecting or demanding anything in return, because it's better to give than receive, that is a version of Santa. It's just like with God, bad and good. You know, do good things for people, be a good person to others. It's not, it's the same thing. You do good for other people. Okay, so you play elf, if you will, to Santa. Maybe you're God's version of an angel or a disciple or whatever your religion is, a descendant, a child of God, um, or just a good human being. Now, I'm not trying to come across that I am opinionated on what you guys believe, because that's not my place. I'm just saying these are merely questions I have. And when somebody says, um, "Okay, send me your Christmas list," so I know what you want. This is famous because my I used to do this to my kids. Send me your Christmas list. Write it down, and you go to mall. You see Santa at the mall. You let Santa know what you want. Whatever. You let Santa know what you want. But what if Santa can't afford to get it? Or what if his elves didn't have means or time to make it? So does that mean that that child now thinks that they've been bad, or they don't have anything under their tree? So for one, my hearts go off to all the parents that do go through that, because I understand that feeling. But you have children that don't get gifts. They don't receive the extra. And maybe Christmas is an extra of giving. One time out of the year, everybody should do the hustle and bustle of being good, going out and trying to find these gifts on sale or whatever, to hand out one time of the year. Why don't we do it all year round? Why does it have to be one day of the year? We're getting gifts on the day that Jesus was born. So we're getting his birthday gifts. Is that the way that was supposed to be? And depending on how good you are, or how bougie you are, or how much money you have, or how creative you are, or how blessed you are, will depend on the materialistic gift that you receive. Now, I don't know about you, but I would take having my loved ones back um, any day than a materialistic thing under the tree. And I I have um, I like to believe I've been a good girl this year. Um, Now, I could say, I used to have the saying naughty or nice, because that's kind of a catch. It's kind of confusing because maybe this is not appropriate, but hey, anyway, um, so you got naughty or nice. Are you nice at being naughty, or are you naughty being nice? It's kind of I mean, it's a trick question to me. But anyway, I like to believe that I've been a good girl this year. You could take it however you want it. I like to believe I've been a good girl, and I should be on the good list. Okay. Um, see, there goes that naughty list again. It's a trick question. What kind of gift would I get if I tell Santa Claus Yeah, I'm. I want to be on the naughty list, Santa. What do I get? What's my prize? What's my gift? What's my incentive if I'm naughty? Okay, maybe that's the adult version. So, but then you got to be nice. Oh, sorry, I just hit my mic. Um, so I don't. Anyway, back to focus here. These, are, like I said, this is what goes through my head. Um, some of the things you don't want to know. Some places got cobwebs in there, and I just leave them be, and I just put a sign up there: "Do not enter." Hypothetically, of course. And um, I've been trying to figure a lot of things out, and it's like um, with Christmas coming up, obviously, and I'm let me back up. Let me back up on this, and I'm going to talk about so I've told this story before in one of my other podcasts. Kind of, I don't know verbatim the wording I used, but anyway, irrelevant. The situation is still the same. So when my stepdad, which he was my dad, not by blood, but he was my dad, was in my life since I was like 8 years old, and outside of my grandfather that passed away when I was 15, was pretty much the only male figure in my life, and he and I were very close. We worked on cars together. Um, I've told the story in one of my podcasts where um, he and I used to work on my car and his cars together, And my starter went out on my car, and I went outside, and I'm hoping I don't forget what the point of this is. And I say, please remind me, but you can't. So if I get sidetracked, I hope I bring it back in time for it to make sense. But I'm forewarning you now. So my starter went out on my car, and I am not afraid to get dirty. Um, and I am not afraid of being right next to a male jumping in there and doing construction work, or I've remodeled a lot of things and stuff, and I'm not afraid of hard work. I've been a very independent, self-efficient woman my whole life. So anyway, my dad had passed away, and before he had passed away, we had changed the starter in his van. He had come knocking on my camper because I had a camper in their yard, um, and he came knocking on my camper and asked me if I could help him change the starter because his hands were too big to fit up in there, and he shook a lot. His hands shook a lot. So I'm like, yeah, no problem. So I get under there, the car, under the van, and he's over top of it, and he's handing me the tools and whatnot, and we're trying to work it together. And we get the start. I get the starter changed. So this past year, I believe it's this past year, um, in the summertime, my car needed a starter. My so anyway, I went and got the starter, and this is the first time, this first moment that I had to do something of this nature without him. And I'm gonna try to get through this without crying, because I get very emotional when I really stop to think about him. Um, because I miss him so much, so much. So anyway, um, I had to fix the starter on my car. So I go get the starter, and I go to the garage, and I know exactly what tools to get out. So I grab some of his tools, some of my tools, because some of them were intertwined, and I get out the big old, hydraulic jack and jacking my car up. I'm going and I'm getting a piece of, wood from the wood pile to sit behind the tires to put back there so it don't roll. And I take my spare tire and I put it underneath my car, so that way if it falls on my tire, and not on me. and catches the fall. And which I showed that to him one day. He goes, "That's a good idea." But anyway, I thought honestly, I thought I learned it from him, but I guess maybe he didn't remember. But anyway, um, so I do all this. I get all our blanket that we designated as our work blanket, and because in the summertime when we'd have to work, I'd lay a blanket down for him or myself. And when it was really hot out, I'd get um, a fan, and I'd run an extension cord from the fan from the garage, and I would put it on him to help keep him cool from the heat because he couldn't handle the heat. So anyway, I'm getting all this stuff laid out. And I'm getting the tools out and I'm trying to find the right sockets. I'm like, okay, I think this is a 9 or it might be a 10. And I think this one is going to be a different. So I'm unhooking the battery terminals, very important. Um, so I'm unhooking the battery terminals and I'm getting everything all together. And I get up underneath there and I start taking the starter loose. And I stopped and I looked around. I looked at all his tools laid out on the ground. I looked at the blanket laying there. I looked at my car. I looked around again and I couldn't do it. I started crying. I started crying because he was supposed to be there with me to help me. I knew I was going to cry doing this. Sorry. So I took a union break and I went inside and I cleaned the tools up and I went inside and mom was like, "Did you get it fixed?" And I said, "No, I had to take a union break, mom, because I just need to take a break. This is too much." And I had posted something on Facebook about it, and I had tagged some of my dad's friends, and obviously they were, very understanding and encouraging. And so I took a 3-day union break, um, because obviously I needed my car. So I go back out there and I get it all back out again, do the same routine, and so I'm laying there under the car, and I'm having trouble with this one bolt. And so I get out his swivel and I'm trying to, get it and I'm I'm having trouble with this one bolt. And I'm like, I know my hands fit in here. And I started crying again. And I stopped. But I didn't get out from underneath the car. And I envisioned him and me working on his van. I envisioned him standing over the top of the van, talking to me, telling me what to do, where his hands were, how we were holding things, and just kind of tuned myself in to that place and time with him. And it was the most hardest thing that I've ever had to do without him. Because that was a me and him thing. And I did it. I did it. She fired right up. And I was so proud of myself. And then a couple days later, she wouldn't start again. And I was like, okay, I'm not gonna freak out. But I was freaking out because my mom needed to go to the hospital. And my aunt had to come and get us because my mom didn't want me getting underneath the car and messing with it. She was having some chest pains, and so my aunt came and got us and took us to the hospital. And when I came home, I said, I think I was just troubleshooting it, backyard mechanic. I think maybe the starter wire might have came loose, and that might be why she's not starting. And that's what it was. It just took me a matter of a few seconds to get under there and hook it up right. And that was a huge deal for me. That was my level of closeness with my stepdad. And I know I know not everybody is fortunate to have that kind of relationship with their step parent or their step siblings, but I was my stepdad. And so anyway, back to where this was going, because sorry, my notes is running. Better go catch it, right? um, that was another saying my dad used to say. He used to thought it was the funniest thing. He thought it was just so humorous. My mom was like, my nose running. He goes, well, you better go catch it. um, but anyway, so back to the subject of. Sorry, just trying to gather myself here. So back to the subject of God. My stepdad was a very humble, simple man. Didn't ask for much, if anything. My mom always came first. We got him some chickens for his birthday one year. The year that he passed away, actually, for his birthday. He was like a kid in a candy store. He was so excited, or a kid on Christmas, if you want. So excited. But he didn't get excited until he looked at my mom and asked my mom if it was okay if he had them. Because my mom doesn't like birds because of my grandparents. The whole house was nothing but birds all the time. And so my mom just doesn't care for birds. And um, so after he okayed it with her that it was okay and she knew about it, she's like, yeah, I knew about it. And then he got excited. And unfortunately, a vulture or whatever killed his chickens pretty much the next day. That excitement was beautiful of him when he got it. Something that simple. But he was a very simple, humble man. Would do anything, pretty much anything, to help others out. But he was a man of morals, of in the sense of the place of the male in the family, the provider, the husband role. He believed that the man's place was providing for his family, taking care of his family, and being the hard worker. He didn't have a problem with my mom working. He wasn't a male chauvinist, or that way. But he believed that the man's place was to take care of his wife and his family. He was head of the household, and um, so anyway, he, I don't think he realized how much he was loved and how much of an impact he made in other people's lives. When he passed away, he chewed tobacco. Okay, he's from West Virginia. He chewed tobacco. Now, growing up, he smoked cigarettes. He would smoke like 2 packs of Winston a day, or Campbell. Um, but he chewed, and he had borrowed some money off of me actually until he got his check to go get a roll of tobacco. And I'm like, yeah, sure, that's fine. And he was like, you don't have to tell your mom. I'll pay you back. It'll be okay. Don't worry. No, you don't have to worry your mom over it. And I'm like, I'm not worried over it. I know where you live. You live in the house. I know where you live. But it wasn't like that. And because we all took care of each other, the three of us. So anyway, when he passed away, that roll of tobacco was up on top of his gun cabinet. And I went to the tobacco store because I knew where he got it because there's only like so many places that carried his brand. So I drove to the tobacco store and I said, I know this is weird. I said, when my dad passed away, I explained the situation, the tobacco, whatever, and I want to know if we can get a refund on it because we weren't going to chew it. And if not, then I'll, hand it out or dispose of it or whatever. That lady at the tobacco store knew exactly who I was talking about. She knew exactly the man that I was referring to and started to cry. She just could not believe that he had died. That was her dude. He come in and they talk, shoot the shit. And, that was her dude. And now, mind you, my dad wasn't disrespectful on, oh, that was my dude, like eyes fluttering or whatever. It wasn't like that. Men and women can have friendships and stuff or be kind and cordial to people without wanting to have sex with them or be any, thing um, out of content. That is possible, people. I know that. But anyway, so, when we had went to his funeral, and I'm probably getting ahead of myself. Um, it was full. They had to open the second room for him. Um, and now, mind you, he had a big family. Okay, there was I think 10 or 11 of them, of his brothers and sisters in West Virginia. But um, they're in West Virginia, and most all of them, unfortunately, have passed away. And matter of fact, my aunt, his sister, just recently passed away this past November, and um, probably actually about a week ago, maybe. But anyway, there's only two of them left now, and one of them lives in Indianapolis, and one lives still in West Virginia. And so the brother that lives in Indianapolis, because I don't live far from Indianapolis, he was obviously there. Him and my stepdad were very, very close. And I was going through the trauma of not only losing him, but also I had to give my dad CPR. And I don't know if anybody has went through. I have a big PTSD on it. If anybody's ever went through of doubt, did I do something wrong? Did I miss something? Did I miss a step? Um, was I doing it the right way? I tried to save him. I worked on him so hard. It seemed like forever until the medics got there, and they worked on him 45 minutes. And as soon as I started doing the chest compressions, I know I broke his ribs. And I apologized to him. I slapped him in his face and I apologized to him. I wanted him to wake up and he wouldn't wake up. I actually hit his head on the thing in the bathroom and I apologized to him. And I just wanted anything for him to wake up and yell at me and tell me to stop. That I was hurting him or something and leave me alone or get off me or something. And he didn't. And so I went up to his brother who was standing at the casket. And I apologized to him for not being able to save his brother. And I apologized to my mother for not being able to save her husband. And I apologized to him for not saving him. And I blamed myself because I tried. I tried really hard. I tried really hard to save him. And I couldn't. He wouldn't wake back up. and wake back up. I begged him. And they took him after they worked on him for 45 minutes, and they took him. And sorry, um, hit my mic. Trying to wipe my face here. Um, the next day, when we went to the funeral home, and they brought him out of the freezer, and they pulled him into the office where their desks were. Um, so they have these two desks in their office, and in here on a gurney bed is him. And in a 24-hour period of time, a man that had passed away straight out of the freezer laid a man of pure beauty in my eyes. I had never in my life, and I've seen a lot of dead people, had ever witnessed somebody so beautiful and the most healthy looking human being I have ever seen in my life, and he was dead, as that man was laying on that gurney. He had this unbelievable, I don't know how to explain it. He looks so healthy and so beautiful. And when we went to that funeral, everybody was talking about how beautiful he looked and how great he looked. And he had this glow about him. And he looked so good. Even the dirt under his fingernails still, because he bit his nails, because he's a hillbilly. He was the same man that would peel an apple with his pocket knife and wipe it off his jeans and put it back in his pocket. You know. And according to my youngest daughter, nobody could peel an apple like Papa. But I went back to my mom. I said, that just warmed my heart. And my mom, being blind, of course, she couldn't see him. And I said, Mom, he looks the healthiest I've ever seen him in his whole life living. And he's gone. He looks so beautiful. He just glows, and it warmed my heart so much. And I fought with myself on, what did I do wrong? Did I miss something? I took CPR. I've been recertified, 3 or 4 times or something. And, I took the classes. I never had to do CPR on anybody before, but it had to be him. And now I've done CPR twice because we just had this horrific, tragic accident outside my house on the 13th of November where a lady died, and I had to give her CPR. Um, but I played it over my mind over and over and over again. And I would literally lay in there because it happened in the bathroom and stuff on the floor where I had to give him CPR. And I literally would go in there and lay on the bathroom floor where he was and just cry my eyes out. And there's a little, I don't know if people know, I use clean crime scenes for a living, but there's oils and stuff that your body leaves behind, obviously, dirt matter and your secretion and stuff from your body. And anyway, they took him into the dining room, the medics did, and there's a little small stain on the floor. I know what that stain is from. Um, I don't say nothing to my mom or anybody about it. And obviously, if I have anybody that's listening to me that, obviously, my sister listens to my podcast dedicatedly, and thank you very much. Um, but it's a reminder. Uh, it's a very big reality check, but it's a reminder of how simple life is to be so complicated. Um, because they were up at 10:30 in the morning making meatballs, and by 10 till 12 he was already gone. And it's like this horrific accident outside that happened. They left their home, not 2 seconds away from their home. She was gone. Literally. um, but I played the scenario with him over my mind on, did I do something wrong? And I was like, oh my gosh, did I check for a pulse? I remember seeing his chest go up. Um, he had his defibrillator in. It went off. It kind of lit us both up. Um, Freaked me out because I forgot he had it in him, although I knew it, but in the moment. And he started doing his gurgle and his rattle and trying to get the fluid out of him and turn him over and do a finger sweep in his mouth to make sure nothing was obstructed in there. Um, and that's pretty much when I knew he was gone, or was soon to be. But in replaying the beginning of it, um, and fast forwarding it to the point of where I went in there and he was in there sitting on the toilet. I thought he was just sitting there. I didn't know he had went to the bathroom. And his body expelled his bodily fluids. Um, um, but at the time, I didn't know that. Okay. His pants were pulled up. Um, and he was sitting on the toilet with the seat up. And so evidently he pulled his pants up and sat back down. But they weren't buckled or the belt was still undone. Um, but when I went in and I saw him sitting there, I said, "Hey, what's going on?" And he was looking down, and I took my hand and I gently touched his chin to raise his face up. And they were pure white. There were no pupils, no eyeballs, just pure white. And I said, "I need you to wake up. I need you to talk to me. I need you to stay with me." And I went and got the phone to call 911. And he said, "I'm awake. Stop it. That hurts." And I was gently touching his chin. I wasn't putting any pressure on it. And I said, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to hurt you. Um, I just need you to stay awake with me and talk to me and look at me." He said, "I am awake. That hurts. Stop." Um, and when I called 911, she asked if he had took any nitro. And he answered, "Yes, one. I just took it." And I turned around and there was a bottle of nitro sitting on the sink. I had not even saw that. So he was coherent, but he had no no vision. He was blind. His eyes were pure white. And so when I replay that moment in my mind of giving him CPR, pinching his nose, lifting his neck, watch his chest rise, do compressions. I forgot how many to count. I did them in like 10 to 15-minute intervals. Right now, honestly, I don't even remember. But then I remembered his defibrillator would help do the heart. So I actually, honestly, try to concentrate also on the breathing. But I went back and forth. But it all happened so quickly. And I had to admit to myself that although God gave me two hands and the resources and the knowledge to save a human being, it was in His hands, and He took over. And I'll be quite honest with you because I'd be lying if I said otherwise. That exact statement I just said, I was this many years old when I realized it and just said it. Imagine that. I always say, put it in God's hands. I'll put it in God's hands. Or God gave us two hands for a reason. Resources and knowledge for reasons. Because sometimes He guides our hands, guides our resources, and guides our knowledge, gives us the tools we need in order to utilize them when and if the time is right. And because we're human beings, we make mistakes. We second guess ourselves and we're left to wonder. Or we might have made a mistake and it might have accidentally cost someone their life. But we're human beings. And when human beings are not able to intervene or have the appropriate tools and resources at the given time, that's when it's in God's hands. And He had it. He had it. He just needed me to get where I was, to get my dad to that point, and He took it from there. And He gave me the blessing of being home on that exact day, sick from work. Or else my mother would have been alone with that, blind and disabled. But God blessed me to be at the right place at the right time, even when it hurt the most. And I believe God reminded me of the beauty. The next day when I saw him, my dad, coming out of the freezer. Because that was more than any human being could have ever done. And I wholeheartedly believe that. And these are questions and answers and things that make me me. And maybe you don't believe in God, and I'm not here to preach to you. I'm here to tell you it's okay to have questions. It's okay to have your opinion and your belief. But honestly, wholeheartedly, can you honestly say what would it hurt to have that one other resource and tool that is beyond your control? Would it really hurt to believe and have faith and pray? Would it really hurt? Or would it hurt not to? I don't know. Those are questions that only you can answer. And the only thing I can do is pray that you find the answers that you're looking for. And I have a habit of having questions that confuse me, but then my confusing questions make sense to me. Because we haven't really ever thought about it that way. And I know that sometimes it's okay not to have the answers. Because if we had the answers, why would we need God? And if we keep leaving it in mankind's hands, we're just going to keep killing each other and hanging ourselves. At least that's what I believe. And honestly, when I first started press record on my podcast, I really didn't know what I was going to say. I was going to talk about self-reflection, and this is what I started talking about last night, and kind of what I was going through in my mind and my head and stuff. But I guess I was meant to do this one. Um, and I won't apologize for that. Because even though life hurts right now in so many ways for me, I look over at my mom, who can lay only on one side of her body, needs help to and from her portable toilet, hurts unbelievably with a stimulator in her pain receptor in her back implanted in her spine, tons of medication, blind, immobile, confined to a bed as she faces the same direction where her husband used to lie, clenches a teddy bear with a t-shirt that I printed a letter that he wrote to her on, and tries so hard to remind herself that she matters, her life matters, and she's not better off dead. She don't grieve herself to death, that she has a purpose, and that she's just not taking space up on earth. She cries for me, she cries to me, tells me she's scared, she's afraid she's gonna die. She's trying to make it right, so please don't make her cuss at me because she's trying to get into heaven. She said that to me yesterday. She said, don't make me cuss at you. I'm trying to get into heaven. um, and I'm laying, I'm rubbing her legs with Vicks Vapor Rub because I've talked about it before. We live by the Vicks Vapor Rub. Um, it helps my mom with her fibromyalgia and her neuropathy, her restless leg, her PAD, um, head to toe. I put Vicks Vapor Rub on my mom, and sometimes I warm it up in the microwave. Depends on if she can handle the heat of that or not. But as I'm laying there, or not laying there, she's laying there, and I'm rubbing this on her. Sometimes I don't know the strength of my own hands, and she's very sensitive, obviously, to touch. And she'll say, that hurts, don't be so hard. You have a vicious thumb. um, I'll slow down and I'll envision my dad laying there at the bottom of the bed, like he always did. And he'd rub my mom's legs until he fell asleep every night. And I would look over at my mom, and I would know that no matter how I know the day is going to come that I'm not going to have that moment again with her. And even though I'm in this house with her, I try not to be hovering over her all the time. But I also try not to forget that she's still here, even at times when she don't want to be. Because there's going to be a day that my muscle memory in my mind is going to hear my mom yell for me. It's going to have the habit of going and checking on my mom. It's going to have the habit of calling my mom on the way home from the store to see if she needs anything. To be out at the store or anywhere for that matter. And remember that I won't have to hurry up and get home to my mom. Because she won't be there. And they say there's no tears in heaven. And I pray that's true. Because I cry enough on earth in my human form. Because sometimes living just sucks the life right out of you. And sometimes we get caught up in so much of life that we forget to live. Get caught up in the meaning of life. To forget what the reality of life really is. And out there, the government feel they have the right to rape us from our God-given right as a human being in this world, our own world, of a believing in something that doesn't try to control us, manipulate us. It gives us free will on what we want, unlike them. I have to pay Uncle Sam, an uncle that I think we're all related to, um, that I've never met and doesn't ever get me anything for the holidays or birthdays or whatever. And I'm still waiting on my stimulus checks from year, was it 2020 or whenever we got them? Anyway, um, we all have the same uncle, like same government, in one retro sense to the next, some form of authority. And we're supposed to believe in they have our best interests at heart. And I say that with after it. Um, why is it so hard to believe in God? And why is it so hard to believe in mankind? But more importantly, why is it so hard to believe in ourselves? because I can look at myself in the mirror and I can see my reflection. But when I look in my eyes and really look at me, do I see the reflection of the version that God intended and created? Or do I see the hell that mankind continues to put me through and holds me down from being able to see anything different? Why does mankind cover my eyes, but then expect me to see them and believe in them and trust them, but my reflection is meaningless? You know, my mom's blind, and I tell you this, and this is true. I have no reason to make this up. I noticed this a while back. My mom has more mirrors in this house. I think every room almost has a mirror in it or more. Um, Almost every room. And she's blind. But you know what? I've also learned some of the most beautiful things that you can actually see don't even require your eyesight. It requires your heart. You close your eyes, and what really do you see? And what really do you feel? And when you open your eyes and you look at your reflection, are they one and the same? Or would you rather have an app filter to make you what society believes is beautiful than what God created, the beautiful masterpiece that reflects off your soul? Just my thought. And I hope this all makes sense. And um, that's just me winging it. This is off of my heart, off my head, and just my train of thought for the moment. And I wholeheartedly apologize, obviously, for my hitting my mic and stuff and clearing my throat all the time. That's just who I am. I think that's another reason my podcast is just perfect name for me. If anybody knows me, I'm always clearing my throat because I have very bad allergies. And my throat is always dry. I get so much cotton in my mouth, I probably could knit a sweater for everybody. Um, but regardless of what your religion is, regardless of what your color is, regardless of what your sexual status is, regardless of what society has made you feel is acceptable or not acceptable, don't be like don't be like society. Be you, because there's only one you, and you are your own world, and your life matters. But more importantly, so does your presence. I just made that up. They kind of go together, doesn't it? Presents get Christmas. Okay, anyway. That's kind of all put together. I'm kind of proud of myself right now. I amuse myself, let me tell you. My other personality's got such humors. And I say this jokingly, but if I can't laugh at my own self and come to terms with my own personalities, then who can? Because in all honesty, my other personality, my other little voice inside of my head, her and I had to become friends, and we had to come to terms on things because she was been protecting me for so long. Um, and she just couldn't take it anymore. And she was trying to kill us. And we're good now. And that's why I'm here. And that, folks, is why you are blessed. Um, but even more so, I am blessed because you have taken the time out of your life to do the one thing that you will never be able to get back. That is priceless, but the most valuable thing you um, that you have, your time. And I thank you for giving it and dedicating it and listening to me. And I pray that you have a very safe and blessed evening. And more importantly, I pray for all of us. Because sometimes in life, we have to remember to step over our own shadows, take the leap of faith, and build our wings on the way down. But don't forget, the wings that you're building come from the tools you're given. Just my thought. And I just thought of that just now. Anyway, I guess that's my gift from God too. I thank you. And I thank God for my gift. And I tell myself, don't be ashamed of your gift, Dee. Embrace it. And I'm trying. I'm wholeheartedly trying. This is Dee, and you have been listening to my podcast. Let me clear my throat. Thank you and have a safe and blessed evening.